Right. I should be here, Moto Day. Am I live now? I went to start, and then the video was like, you need to update your graphics drivers. And then OBS was like, update your drivers. After I did all of that, OBS was like, oh, we can't find the stream. Can you go live on it? What? Right. Yes, you are. Cool. I'm not using the video sound thing or whatever it is because it's not loading up properly. So we're just going to jump in. I don't have much of a plan for this stream. I just know we're going to dive in and do some spatial anchors, hopefully, and see if we can get an understanding and an idea of what's going on with them to see if we can get it set up. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Quest Developer, MetaQuest Developer Hub, and we're going to download the Spatial Anchors example project that they have on here. And the idea is that if we have a look through here, we can actually get an idea of what's going on with it, and then we can look at setting them up ourselves and see if we can kind of match what's going on to understand. But I've got to find it. How is everybody doing on this fine Friday? Cool. Hopefully sound is all right. We don't have any music on. Why everything needs an update today? What is happening? It's because I actually planned to do a stream for once, and it wasn't so last minute. MetaXR MixR Utility Kit Unreal example, which is good. My hands are freezing. Right. It's not code samples. Is this new? Code samples? No, this is what I was looking for. They've just added icons. Why is there so many? Is that not the same one I've just done? We'll do all this, get it out of the way. This shouldn't have any. I've just been using that. Restart. Yes. Cool. Yeah. So how's everybody been? You all had a good week? Looking forward to the weekend? Right. Code samples. Unreal Engine Spatial Anchor Sample. That should be the only one that we need today for anyway. Shared anchor sample. So that's going to be different. That's going to be for the multiplayer stuff. Spatial and then shared anchor sample demonstrate the capability of spatial anchor system. So project provide example code maintain spatial. Which ones are we looking at? Spatial anchors. And then shared anchors are used between multiplayer, aren't they? So let's just do this one. Oh, I'm just going to grab this from GitHub. So we just download this as a zip. I'm pretty sure I've already got it. But we're going to do a new folder. And to extract all. And then we take a look. Right, this should hopefully be 5. Yeah, cool. All right, we'll load that up. If it's loading up. Shouldn't actually take too long. And then while it's doing its thing, I'm going to make sure this headset's connected so we can actually use it. Cool. Link launch. Meta Horizon. Hopefully, should boot up. I can see the Meta logo. I just can't see anything else. There we go. Cool. All right, that's not taking too long to load up. Galvanic, yo, good to see you. How am I doing? I'm doing good. I'm doing good. It's been a bit of a long day of meetings and getting emails and everything else sorted, but now we can jump in and do something fun, hopefully. And what are we doing? We're going to take a look at spatial anchors. So in mixed reality, how we can anchor stuff to the real world and then load that back in, I believe. We'll have a look through the documentation and we'll see what's going on with it. But we'll also take a look at the shared spaces stuff in here and see if we can break it down and go from there. How is we doing? By the way, did you see 5.5.4? Yes, I saw it, and I saw that they didn't update the Google AR Core stuff. Instead, they've changed it to Vulkan, which has been a bit of a nightmare this week. But yeah. So again, weekday for me, not much difference, but great, cool. Also, was the bug fix that we were talking about after building the app was not working related to the AR? No, so they changed it. So just to cover that quickly, I've been building a project with a client for over a year now using Google AR Core for anybody watching. And in that, we had an issue that came up. So if I load up this is the forum page where it explains the problem. And then we've got, where is it? Why did I lose it? Oh, it's up here. Is that the right one? This one. So they released the update for 5.4 after they said they would. And then once it released, they then changed the bug that we had to won't fix, which means it's a bit of a crapshoot. So there was a bit of a heart attack moment that went on yesterday trying to figure this out. But Victor stated that they've changed it to Vulkan now. So AR Core is still supported, but we can't get it to work. So today I've spent most of it while doing meetings downloading the source build of Unreal 5.4 so I can try it on Monday to see if we can actually get the project to build out and use the Vulkan settings. But we're just kind of waiting to hear back to see if there's any other stuff we got to do. So right now it's just a waiting game, which is a lot of fun. Should game GDXR, you should get VR lenses quick. Scratches happen so quickly when combining glasses and MetaQuest headsets. Oh, I know. I did it with my Quest 2, I think it was. I scratched all the lenses on them. But the headset, I've got the Bobo strap or something, and it's working quite nicely. So it keeps the lenses off them. And I've also got I specifically went for a dual hinge, so I can actually like rotate it around. So when I put a headset on, if I like put it on and it goes weird, it's gonna actually move it away from the lens. So it's really quite nice. Bit more expensive than they should have been, but it works quite nicely. But I am planning on getting some custom lenses. Cool. So I think we're all set up to go and figure this out. There's no information on these ones. Oh, we've got a README actually. Should we start there? It's going to make more sense, isn't it? README. Hopefully there's something in it. Nice glasses, sir. Looking good. Thank you. It's been helping quite a bit. Wow, you can even fall asleep with them on. Yeah. Honestly, It was a combination of getting them because I wear headsets so much and that it can move around and then bend. So it's like double jointed essentially. So I don't know if you can see it, but it literally has a double joint. And then for when my daughter goes to grab them off my face, if she pulls them sideways, it's not gonna break them. So double use. It's been quite nice. Right. So what we got? We don't need to worry about git LFS. We're not using that. We just zipped it. The easiest way to get started with a pre-built Unreal Engine from Epic Launcher with MetaXR plugin. We've done that. We've got that already set up. We don't have to worry. We don't need to download any of that. Follow GitHub. Make sure Visual Studio is installed. Download the code. That's not helpful. It doesn't show anything about the project as it is. Okay. So I think we'll go from there. Darth Chandler, I'm on my phone since meetings all day. I want to show my sport. Thank you, dude. I've been in meetings as well. It's been absolutely crazy all day. The first like 2 hours that I've got free. So I thought we'd do this. Right, so we don't really have a plan of action. It's going to be breaking down what's going on here. And I think the main thing, which is going to be an unlikely part of it, is the save game. I think this is going to be crucial because basically what's happening is a spatial anchor is spawning into the world so we can then attach stuff to it and track stuff. We'll come back to this and we'll have a look in a minute and we'll try and break it down before we read it. And we'll go from there. Fabio, hello Jonathan, thank you for your content. Greetings from Brazil. Nice. Thank you, dude. It's crazy seeing people from all around the world and yet. Right. So we've got a save file. This is going to be used to load those back in. So set existing UUIDs. Oh, what was it? Was user ID, user identification something? It would be handy if we knew what the actual name was, wasn't it? I read it somewhere in here. For what the UUID stood for. Mm. Got the UUIDs. It's like unique user something something, but I could also be making that up. Okay, so we got a lot of reading to do. But basically we have a save file that stores spatial anchors in our level. And then we've got a struct. Is save locally UUID. It's UUID. So when we save our game, we call set existing UUIDs where we pass through an array of unique I'm going to call them unique identifiers, which are our spatial anchors, which we loop through and then we check to see if it's saved locally. If it is saved local, we set it. We're setting it to save local. And then we store them. Right. Components, menu manager, spatial anchor manager components. So we start with the menu. Right. Event tick, update menu position. So we're attaching that to our hand, possibly. Deactivate anchor menu and no longer associated with valid spatial anchor. Not sure. Gameplay, spawn, hand menu. Store references to it. And then inside of there, we've got a couple of dispatches. Spatial Anchor Manager. Blueprint Spatial Anchor Manager. Where's that spawned? Delete save context, running logic on selected menu item, select main, run. Oh god, this might have been too heavy for. Oh my god. Right. We can play Android permission right to storage. So we're doing the save file here. Oh, we're checking for the permissions, which is fine. Permissions granted. We make sure that they've all been granted. If any of them equals 0, true, it's not going to work. Right? Fail to retrieve Android permissions to save anchors. Okay. Once we've done all that, we load UUIDs, which is this one. So we check to see if we have a saved game. And if we do, we check to see if it's valid, and we cast to the anchor save game file where we get them, and then we break the struct. So we get the information from them, and then we store them in saved UUIDs. Which is then just called in. Oculus Spatial Anchor Model. Okay. So I'm going to be telling us we don't need it. Will always fail. So is this already broken? Chat. Galvanic, by the way, Jonathan, question. I need to give a talk again at my local Unreal Engine community meetup. Can you recommend me a topic that I should pick up this time? Ooh. I'm not entirely sure. Mm, I'm worried this is going to be a problem because this cast note doesn't work. We'll have a look though. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe something that you enjoy, just enjoy in general, will be a good one to do. Right. Okay, we're in pass through. Right, okay. Okay, so it's all done on the one controller. And okay. Select anchor. Erase anchor. Okay. So if we create an anchor, we put one there, put one on monitor, put one on that monitor. You guys can't see it, but I can place that in there on the table, put a couple on the desk. So I can go to that, and then is it a case of that once they're closed, I do that and then it saves? And then we boot it up, see if they've saved. No. So I've got to save anchor locally. Wait, I'm just going to place a load of these around. But then I need to go through and select each one. Save anchor locally. Cool. So now, if I then remove it and then press play, load. There's nothing. Right, I think this template's already broken. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this over to the other monitor. We'll set up a new one, a new template. We'll make a little spatial model that we can load into the scene. And then we'll try and see whether we can actually get it to do its thing. Because I'm not too sure why they wouldn't be loading back in. Unless it was something to do with this is already broken and deprecated. Okay, let's move that over. Let's do Epic Games Launcher. Launch. Well, that's not right. What's going wrong? Last time we took on the topic basic optimization in mobile VR. At the moment, I'm enjoying optimization, but I'm not that good at it. Just kind of cover the stuff that you've already got. Talks can be close to what you've had previously, and then can be built up on. So it's entirely up to you how you want to approach it. But don't think that they've got to be completely different. What is going on? Anybody got an idea? What? Why has everything been updated today? Hopefully we can get this to work. Come on. Failed to install prerequisites. What are you on about? I can never remember where it's installed. Let's just do that. See if this works. A bit more manual than going through the Epic Launcher. Cool. Cool. So we need to set this up with pass-through. Rendering. It's you, isn't it? Yeah. Sneaky little thing. Let's do this now. We should be able to jump in. Once we've done this, what we'll do is we'll take a look at the documentation and we'll have a read through it. So I know spatial anchors can be used to lock things to the scene, like to your room. But from what I've seen, there's not all that many use cases for them. But I could also be wrong just because I haven't used it all that much. Which is something to consider as well. Right, that should be fine. Project settings, straight down to the bottom, MetaXR. Don't want depth, it's going to break it. Pass through enabled, anchor support, scene support. Support experimental features. That should be it. Yeah. And then VR templates, blueprints, character. There we go. Pass through layer. Initialized. Cool. So we do that and then print string. We should be able to go in. You guys should just see black, but I should be able to see the actual level and my room. Don't. I just see the room, the level. So it means I didn't change this. There we go. Cool. I delete the nav mesh, didn't I? Excellent. So what we need is a way to add some spatial anchors to the scene, load them in and unload them, and then test it out that way. Basically just recreating our own little version of the Oculus scene template then. Right. Default input mappings. First thing we're going to do is add the ability to use the trigger. We're going to use the trigger to do a bunch of different things. Hopefully it should be pretty easy to do though. Oh, we don't have input action mappings. Trigger right, trigger left. That should be fine. Trigger right. Oculus touch. left trigger. Oculus touch right trigger. Where is it? There we go. Okay. So now what we can do, input action is called trigger left. It's called trigger right. Trigger right. Cool. The idea is that we use the inputs to then spawn a little mesh in the scene or in the world where we want it. And then we're going to look at just creating a simple scene anchor component and then saving and loading it. And after that, what we'll do is see if we can attach different things to it and go from there. I think maybe setting it up so we have like a target that we can place on the wall would be cool. Getting any inputs at all? We're not, because I didn't add them. I made the same mistake everybody makes, which is in here. Where are you? Where is it? Enhanced input. There we go. Default. It should have it, actually. Hmm. I put it in default, didn't I? Trigger left, trigger right. Oculus touch left trigger, right trigger. Wait, I'm going to try it again and see if it's the camera overlay that's getting rid of it. No. How have I screwed that up? I was worried that it wasn't going to be in there. Andras, do you need a description for the new inputs? No, I shouldn't. I shouldn't. Oh, it might be a case of it's defaulting to digital boolean. It needs to be an access float. That wait. Shoot left is a boolean. Digital boolean should be fine. We don't have any new inputs. We're just using the one that already exists, which is these guys. And then it gets added in here, default. It honestly should be it. I don't think I've skipped anything. Got all the other inputs. Let's restart it and find out. Let's go. Come on. We've done 40 odd minutes already. I feel like we've done nothing. Ooh. Oh, I think I know what's going on. Wait there. It's gonna work now. Maybe not. What? Wait, why is the hand still working? We disabled the inputs. Wait, what? We don't have a character controller in here. Why did that work? Those hands shouldn't have animated. Is it because the enhanced input system is setting them by default mapping context and then add immediately? I don't get why they've got the input mappings in the player if they're just doing add immediately. Right now it doesn't do it. Which is fine. Come on, I just want to be able to spawn a cube. And now it's not working at all. We got normal inputs, we just don't have the trigger. Do you need a description? We shouldn't need a description for them. I'm tempted to put one in though, just to see. No, still not doing it. Dark Genius, do you have trouble with using the Quest microphone in Unreal? I have tons of problems when I open the MetaLink app. I can't hear my works just sometimes. I honestly don't know. I've never really tried it. Using the Quest microphone in Unreal. You do need to make sure you've got the correct permissions, I know that. But I haven't really used the microphone in Unreal. I haven't really needed any applications that do that, to be fair. Valdegan, good morning. Good morning. I'm trying to figure out what the hell is going on. What? Right, you. Off. From what I understand of freaking input mapping context, this should be working. There we go. Right. Enhanced input system, man. It's crap with this thing. Because something in here is overriding it. Bloody. Right. So hopefully we put that back in. We can have hand animations, which we don't exactly need, but it's nice. And then we get the inputs as well. Cool. Right. So now what we can do is we can create a mesh that we can spawn in. Blueprint class. actor BP underscore anchor display cube. Let's do this. 0.1.1.1. Started. BP anchor display. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get the motion controller left in. Cool. Should be fine. And then what we can do is change that right aim. Change it to right aim. Cool. So now, hopefully, we should be able to spawn those in. Cool. Sweet. So, what do we do now? Right. We basically need to store these, don't we? Let's have a look at what they've got. So their mesh has a component Oculus Spatial anchor. Okay. Dark Genius. Okay, but just like you, I sit there sometimes and don't get why it's not working. And then sometimes it works and it's like a big puzzle. Yeah, there's only a couple of things that it could be with the enhanced input system, but it's just a little bit tedious trying to figure it out. I think there's a bug that when you create the new template, it automatically enables this option. And I think that's what causes a lot of the problems with enhanced input system, is this specific option, but I always forget about it, which is why it's a pain. So if I take this on, it means that all of these are activated all the time. And then when I disable it, it means that they're here, but they're turned on only when I need them to. And I think that's what causes the problem. It kind of overrides a bunch of different things. It makes it difficult to work with. Right, so anchor actor display. Oculus Spatial anchor component. I think now is an appropriate time to go through and then read up the documentation for understanding it. So we've got spatial anchors. Should we do the overview first? I hate reading out loud. Right. Wait there. I don't know if this affects the stream quality, guys, for you guys, whether it turns your screen yellow as well, but being a dyslexic, it makes it easier for me to read. So you can kind of deal with it for a minute. Right. We don't need health and safety. We don't care about any of that. Right. For most use cases, consider using world locking feature mixed reality utility kit, which uses anchors to facilitate world locking without having to use anchors directly. We've got that already enabled. That, for anybody watching, is done inside of project settings. So project settings, and then we go right down to the bottom here. We've got this mixed reality utility kit, and then world locked is on. It does this by subtly adjusting the HMD pose so the virtual objects appear to be world locked in the physical environment, where you do not need to create or interact with anchors yourselves. What are spatial anchors? An anchor is a world locked frame of reference that gives a position and orientation to a virtual object in the real world. After reading this page, you should be able to describe the function and purpose of spatial anchors in mixed reality, explain the interaction models for different types of games and applications using spatial anchors, Describe the life cycle of a spatial anchor with creation to sharing, from creation to sharing. Cool. No, it's not changing the stream, just shows a yellow glow on your face. Screen looks normal. Oh, excellent. Cool. All right. That's really good to know. Right. Real world examples. You can use spatial anchors in many ways. For example, you can place virtual signs on real furniture or create spawn points on real windows for virtual characters to fly through. The picture below showcases how to use 4 spatial anchors across various types of content such as virtual toys, decorative plants, and 2D panel media experiences. So, if we were doing a game experience, would we not just use the window tag? This is what I'm confused about when it comes to spatial anchors. I understand the multiplayer side of it, being able to track 2 different things. But the idea with this single player, I just feel like it should use the room you're in. For example, if you spawn a floor, just use that ID and then go from there. But I'm not entirely sure. But we'll keep going. Use cases and interaction model. 1. Sports and casual games. Users can play games like mini golf, scavenger hunts, and obstacle courses in expanded areas like a living room, hallway, or dining room. 2. Action games, adventure games, puzzles, and virtual escape rooms can extend across multiple rooms, using an entire living space. Augmentation and decoration. Users can virtually remodel their houses by pinning web browser tabs and widgets for weather and news, or adding new furniture and decorations. Building and simulation games. The play space can be enlarged to include racing tracks, simulated cities, and Rube Goldberg machines according to a user's preference. So my question from here is, does every part of the Rube Goldberg machine require its own spatial anchor? Or is it just we have one and then things within a 3-meter radius attached to that? I'm just asking questions out loud while I go through it, so we can kind of answer them as they come up. Right. How do spatial anchors work? Applications can use 1 anchor per virtual object. Right, so we can have one for each thing. Or choose to have multiple virtual objects use the same anchor, as long as those objects are within its coverage area of 3 meters. Cool. So what would be an example of that? Applications can use 1 anchor per virtual object. That would be like the Rube Goldberg machine. So each part has its own one, and then it would store its position in space. And then for multiple, I imagine that would be something like this race course, where it's extremely large, and then you have different things anchored to different places. The Anchors API allows for the position to be persisted and discovered across sessions and shared with other users, both synchronously and asynchronously. So it's basically just storing a real world location. My question now comes to, how does it do that? It would use the mapping context for the room, wouldn't it? So it'd use your spatial data to then get a transform in that. So if you imagine you've mapped your room, spatial anchor would look for the pivot point of that, or whatever it is, then you would store it. So you're basically just storing a world location. Instead of having it in-game using a transform, you're storing a real world location in your physical space, which is then loaded in. So if we picked up the guns off the desk, and then we threw them, we could have a spatial anchor that happens to be created when the velocity is 0 or it hits the floor and stops moving. We could create spatial anchor. So if we leave the application and then we come back into it, it should still be on the floor in the correct location. That's how I'm understanding it anyway. From an interaction model perspective, there are 2 types of applications: user-driven movement and app narrative movement. User-driven movement involves a reactive app that adapts or displays new content based on the user's decisions to use more space. Use cases include augment and decorate. Users can expand to multiple spaces at will using video, browser tabs, and photos as decorations. Builder games. Users can expand beyond a single room to build racing tracks or simulated cities. Right. So I think that's the main thing. Because I'm confused whether you would link the spatial anchors to each other, so they all kind of store the next one. So if you create multiple spatial anchors, and then there's a bunch of them in a radius within 3 meters, whether they all kind of stack up, and then it's more supported. App narrative movement involves a proactive app where the user selects relevant types of spaces from their environment during setup or dynamically. Use cases include sports and casual games. Users maximize an open space to play in the scenery all at once, suitable for mini golf or obstacle courses. Action games. The app generates gameplay and creates movement in front of the user to enhance engagement. Used for adventure and puzzle games. Right, so that one. So that would be a case of you have multiple rooms and you have a large play space. And then you give the player the option to spawn their own obstacles. How would you track something like this? Is it just up to the player? So the player's like, I'm going to place the hole here. I'm going to place the castle here. Then they can come all the way back here and then try and sort it out themselves. Action games. The app generates gameplay and creates movement in front of the user to enhance engagement. Useful for adventure and puzzle games. Example of an app-driven interaction where the user continues to move through the space to advance through a mini golf game. So that would be the case. You build your own golf courses, and then you move to the next room, and then there's like another one, and the other one. An application can take advantage of two types of anchors. Spatial anchors that are created and owned by the application, remaining private within its context. Developers can create these anchors by placing virtual content in specific positions and locations. Or developers can automate this process by enhancing co-located local multiplayer sessions. Right, spatial anchors that are created and owned by the application. So would that be like a desk? The desk is spawned? What I'm struggling to wrap my head around is if every space is custom and unique, the developer can't preset these anchors. You can only go off stuff like walls, floors, ceilings, doors, tables, desks, windows, doors, everything else. Does that fall under the spatial anchors or the scene anchors? Scene anchors are the walls and doors. So spatial anchors are created by the player themselves. I think I'm starting to wrap my head around it. Developers can automate this process to enhance co-located multiplayer. Scene anchors that are created and owned by the system. These types of anchors provide insight into the user's environment, including the positions and size of furniture and walls. Applications cannot modify these anchors, but they can access them with user permission. These anchors are consistent across all apps and operate at the same level. See, this is where my question comes in, is like, why do we need the spatial anchors if we can just map stuff to what's already in the world? Like, that's the main question that I get. Like in my head, it's like, why do we need spatial anchors in the first place if we can use our tables, desks, and everything else to do it? Surely the floor would be enough. I guess though, if you're doing something that is, let's say, floating in the middle of the room, you do one of these web browser widgets. It would then be better to have it store the real world location. Basically, what I'm asking is, I feel like I'm missing some kind of information from this to what helps. To place virtual content in the real world, start by creating a spatial anchor. Then save the anchor to persist it across sessions. In later sessions, or when using a large space like an entire home, you can query and find the persisted anchors. For applications where multiple co-located users share the same coordinate space, one user can share an anchor with others to maintain consistent perspective and alignment. That makes sense. That makes sense. But I'm still not entirely fully sure where to use it specifically. In large space use cases, the system extends beyond a single room. Creating and tracking applications can create and track anchors throughout a large space, such as a home. Saving and erasing anchors can be saved for use across app sessions and erased when no longer needed. Anchors have an abstraction between local device storage and storage on meta servers. Discovering. Anchors enable adaptive experiences by recognizing the user's surroundings. As the user moves around, scene anchors and spatial anchors become accessible. So they're loaded in as you get closer to them in the real world. In large spaces, space discovery supports starting an experience in any room. As users move between rooms, new paths are discovered and anchors in separate areas are displayed together. Right. Sharing a spatial anchor among multiple users creates a shared frame of reference. This shared perspective allows users to perceive the same augmented reality, facilitating collaboration and gameplay. All anchors operations create, persist, erase, share, and discover are supported as the user moves through the space. Right. I think I'm getting it. Right. You guys don't mind me doing it this way, do you? Like reading through it and then asking the questions and then trying to figure it out? Is there a better way you'd want me to do it, or are you guys happy with me just approaching it this way? Because any feedback is good feedback. Or is it a case of you guys just want to see how I figure it out and then how I do it? Because right now I think we've done like half hour of reading. Okay, the life cycle of a so now we're on spatial anchors. The life cycle of a spatial anchor allows it to be created, saved, erased, and destroyed. You can also share or receive a shared spatial anchor. Each one of these possible life cycle states is documented below with examples both in blueprints and C++. Cool. Recognize the functionality covered by spatial anchors such as create, save, load, erase, destroy, and share. Define the process of creating a spatial anchor using both Blueprint and C++. Describe the process of destroying a spatial anchor with using Blueprint C++. Prerequisites. Before working with spatial anchors, you should ensure that you are configured your headset in development. We've done all that. That's fine. Implementation. Create a spatial anchor. A user can create a spatial anchor in their environment to create a stabilized transform that is tracked by the device and remains static, even after headset position and orientation resets. Right. So that's the key. Why is that not close? That's not further up. A user can create a spatial anchor in the environment to create a stabilized transform that is tracked by the device and remains static even after headset position and orientation resets. Creating a spatial anchor requires specifying a valid location within the environment that will allow for localization. Right, I'm thinking that we create like a mini golf game. Might not be able to do it in this session, but we can plan something out. So what would happen is I kind of go around the apartment. I can place the holes and then starting points, and you can kind of just use that. So if we move away from it, it should track it. So here, they're not creating the spatial anchor in the blueprint. They're creating it afterwards. Why couldn't you do that inside the blueprint so it fires every time? Would that change something? In this example, an actor is created at the location the anchor should be spawned at. The latent action creates spatial anchor is called using the actor and transformers parameters. If it succeeds, execution continues. Fails, execution destroys previous created. Right. Uses the ability to persist a spatial anchor so it can be accessed later via discovery. Right. Discover spatial anchors. A previously persisted spatial anchor can be found on the device or cloud storage using the Discover API. This is a filter-based querying mechanism that allows you to find anchors that have been persisted via the Save API. The discovery filters are objects you must create and bypass in the function call in either Blueprints or C++. You can perform a discovery request with no filters and find every anchor in your environment, but typically you would want them either request anchor using a UUID filter or a component filter. API signature also requires two callbacks to be present. Two callbacks to be present. One callback results will fire every time there are anchors that are discovered and can be localized and provided to the user. The second callback complete will only fire once all synchronous work is complete. It's possible to make a request, discover no anchors, and receive a complete callback with a successful code. In this example, a discovery ID filter is created. The filter is populated with anchor UIDs. This one, the filter is placed in a filter array. Oh, that's this one. Right. The discovery info struct is populated and passed to the discovery anchors function. There is logging for success and failure. So the question is this run on tick? Or do we go through a different way? There are several ways to erase anchors with the Spatial Anchors API. You can erase using the anchor component pointers, you can erase by anchor UUIDs or anchor handles, erasing by anchor component or by anchor handle, typical use cases. In both scenarios, you will only be able to erase anchors that are known to the runtime. Either they've been created and queried for this session. Erasing by UUID is unique in that an anchor does not have to be loaded by runtime to be erased. This is helpful if you're trying to clean up anchors that are not able to be loaded into the app or that do not wish to persist any longer. Anchors will automatically be destroyed if you delete the actor or component associated with a spatial anchor. That's good. Right. I think the only option here is to just try and create an actor that we can spawn in the real world, build the app, close the headset down, rejig it, and then see if it spawns in the same place. I think that's going to be the best approach. Oh, my monitors always look so weird when I turn the night light off. Let's jump in, I guess. What is going on? My phone won't stop going off. Right. So we're spawning these in. We have the cubes. Anchor display. Spatial anchor. So if we create this, we need a way to send this to something to be saved, don't we? I would normally put it in the game instance. Spatial anchor manager. Have they got that? Just having a look at this one, see how they got it set up. Because my instinct is to add the spatial anchor and then save it. That just displays information. Yeah, that just tells us the text of the UUID. Get handle, select a class. Go from that. Vardigan, know you're fine. Great to see someone else doing the work once. Vardigan, so have they not fixed the preview being black yet? The background, I mean. No, I think it's a privacy thing. I'm not entirely sure why, but no, it doesn't seem to feed the video through to Unreal, which is a shame. None of it seems to be saving. On spawn, so I would do something like event begin play and get handle and UUID just to be safe. What I'd also probably do is, for anybody watching, this is probably not the right way to do it, but I'm going to do it this way anyway, just because I know we can store stuff in there. So just keep that in mind. Right, spatial anchors. So I could create an array in here. Oculus XR UUID. It's basically what we're saving, isn't it? Or is it going to be XR anchor? Wait, I'm going to check the save file in this. They're using struct Oculus UUID. Right, that one. UUID. So in here, what I could do is get game instance has to GI spatial anchors. Get the UUID array. No. Promote to a variable spatial anchors. And then after begin play, it means we spawned it into the level. What we could do is because we can only place it, we can't move this around yet. We could get the UUID and then we could add unique and then paste that in there. Cool. And then the way that they've got it is they have a little bit of text that when it's saved, it tells us the UUID name above the anchor, which could be fine. Game instance. This is really bad. That's why it's not going to let me do an event tick. Damn. There's always a way. Display. Every second, you're going to loop through this array. And you're going to tell us if we've added a new UID to it. Should be fine. And then we can do print string and plug that in there. Cool. Cheetah event tick. Yep. I want to do an event tick. All I want to do is read this out. I could have probably done it in the anchor, but it's going to duplicate it. I don't want to do it at once. So hopefully we press play. Shouldn't see anything. I don't know if it'll tell me off. There we go. Cool. So now, when I place a cube, do we get any text? No. Question is why? That timer's not running. I might have to put this somewhere else. That's fine if I have to. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Either way, we store that in there. Let's go spatial anchors. Oh, it's oh. Wait there. I know why it's not doing it. Freaking project settings. I made a new game instance. I didn't set it. Silly mistakes. So now when we press play, should hopefully get it. Cool. Right, so they're all just zeros. Well, we are getting the two of them. I'm getting it in. So, question is why? We're not getting a result. So, let's check the docs. It might be because I'm just trying to do it with the Oculus XR spatial angle. We might not actually be doing anything. So yeah, so it's saying Oculus XR create spatial anger. Remove that. Cool anchor. Get UUID. Target actor is self. And then, yeah, roll. They got transform. Which does make more sense. It's storing all three. It's fine. So hopefully we should get something now. We boot up. No. Add unique. It'd also be handy if I had it on there. More a day. I propose to now analyze an example of a phantom game about ghosts. It'd be very cool. We need to make something. That's what it is. That's why I want to check this out, so we can actually sit down and build a little mixed reality demo game, which I think would be really cool. We need to figure out why we can't get a UUID though. There's been nothing in here about sending stuff anywhere else. I'm doing this inside of the actor itself when it spawns itself. What we'll do is we'll try this. If it doesn't work, we'll try doing it from the player where we're spawning the cube and see if that does work. Or we could do handle. Don't know what the handle does compared to the other things. Get UUID, remove at Oculus XR UUID. So they have a struct that checks to see if it's saved locally. We don't need to do that. We're only doing local. Hey, there we go. Cool. Right. So in the game instance, we're actually getting the save data, or the data that we're going to use to save. Um, Wait, I might be jumping ahead. There's nothing for loading, is there? Valdegan, so the print string was printing a bunch of random generated UUIDs. It was creating one for each one that was spawned in. So in the project I've got, when I created, I add to an array inside of the game instance, which then stores an array of the UUIDs. So what was happening is on loop, I loop through that array. So it looks like there's more than there is, but it's just showing me the output for how many there are. So if I do, for example, if I do get length, so if I do length and then I plug that in, what we should see instead is this number change based on the number of spawned actors or spawned cubes that I bring into the scene. There we go. So that's 4. And then updates 4. Yeah. Which is cool. So really all we're reading out is the UID. What I'm going to do, similar to the template that they've got in there, but I'm going to create a struct, because from what I'm seeing is the anchors don't store the actor they're a part of, or it doesn't seem to be that way. It just stores the UUID. I don't know if that includes the actor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up a struct with a map that stores the actor and the UUID, and then hopefully we can get the information from it on launch to then populate the scene back and go through it that way. Kind of similar to what they've got here, but I'm not entirely sure. Blueprints, structs should be fine. Yeah. S underscore. What have they got there? It's called saved anchors. UID. Do that map. So in this case, instead of having one anchor and then attaching multiple different actors to it, we're creating a new anchor for each one, and then we're storing a reference to it to spawn in. It should be fine. So then we create save game. S underscore, what do I call it? Saved anchors. Save anchor. Okay, and then what have we got in there? Save game. BP save game. Right. We could do function save. Cool. You. Yeah, that needs to be an array. How do I change this to it? Wait, what? Aha, there it is. I was wondering for a second why I couldn't change it. School. Saved. Send that one through. At saved. Do that for now. Inputs, actions. Save game boolean, that's fine. Default. Save game. Oculus Touch controller, right A button. Hit press to save. And then what we're going to do is we're going to do a new one for loading. Input action, underscore. Loading, boolean, that's fine. Do loading, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to do on here is gamepad, Oculus Touch, right thumbstick. I'll do Y. Actually, do B. B, yeah, right thumbstick B, that should be fine. So now in the player, we can actually set that up as a little save system. Save game. Loading. And we can do this. Normally I'd put the save game inside of the game instance. But for this one, I might just keep it all together. I think it might make a little bit more sense. How's everybody doing? Everybody kind of keeping up? No, that it's a case of following along anyway. Just checking there to see whether they've done a full save system. Yeah, they did. Right. Save game. They've only got the one. Okay, either way, save game. Save game object, spatial anchors, and then slot slot one save game. That should be fine. Should be save game. Right, slot create. And then save game slot. Should be fine. We're just going to overwrite it, which should be good for this. I'm going to put the save logic maybe in here, or I might pull it in from somewhere else. I'm not entirely sure yet. But we'll have a look. String. Saved game. Failed. To save. Right. That should be fine for a save game. True. We don't even need this bit, do we? I was jumping ahead. If I do this, it basically overrides any of them that already exist because we're not changing the save game slot name, which is fine. Okay, and then does save game exist? Slot true, branch, load, I'll just load game from slot, should be fine. Save game does not exist. Load save game from slot. That's going to be get, isn't it? Cast to. Yeah. It's valid. I'm just checking it against the other template to make sure that we can keep a decent speed. Cast to save game. Spatial anchors. And then that should be fine through there. And then if we do load it, we should be able to actually get the spatial anchors. Get spatial anchors. And they've got a for each loop. So they loop through each one. should be fine. Problem is, if we get, we can't. So we need to break our struct, and then we can get. Oh, how do I use the maps again? Map. Find keys. So each one. So this is the UUID or key find. Which one is it? Values. That's the one we want. And then we could do get a copy. I think that should be fine. I don't know if we need to tell the actor what its ID is, or if we just add them straight back to something else. So this adds them back in the way they're doing it, which would make sense. Where's chat? I've been neglecting it. Oh, Galvanic. Work some code to give me an error in the new update. There's a valid issue in the bullet hole code. Validate issue in the grenade. Also, just fix the rifle and the shotgun. The magazine name was changed in the enum. It was empty in the gun logic, so fix that. Weird. If you definitely are you trying to add it to an existing project, that's probably going to cause the issues because it really is not designed to be added to an existing project. That's what you've got to keep in mind. Like I'm working on a new update for it, like not as a priority, but it's going to have one hell of an overhaul, and there's no chance you'll be able to add it to an existing project. So I need people to make sure that they know that. Right. Cast 2 game instance. Cast 2. Spatial anchors. Yeah, game instance. Yeah, to the current project. Right. Yeah, I'm not going to be able to help with that, unfortunately. I changed too much of it. Hopefully it's not too difficult to get set up, though. Get spatial anchors. Get. And then what we can do is we can get it from here, get UUID. And then we could, how they do it on theirs? They just had it. Right. Game instance got the map, hasn't it? So here, game instance, we get the UUID. Structure. Hmm. Oh, I think I need to maybe this one. The struct array, that's fine. How do they do it in this? For each loop. And then they break. Add. Hmm. Add it in. So they go through. Right, that could work. The VR pawn, it gets the UIDs from there, and then it set saved, isn't it? Is it set saved? Is that how they've got it? Set existing UUIDs. Which ones have I got? Save existing UUIDs. There we go. Call U. Ooh. In instance. Let's have a look. Oh. Right. And it's not going to work now. That's fine. Remove U. Don't need that. Saved anchors. That's fine. It's going to break a couple of things. Yeah, one. So that should. Look into there now, which is cool. What's going on? Valerian, hey, I just wanted to ask if you've ever dabbled in a solution to view the from fully pass through around you into the VR world, like a window or door. If you'd walk through this, you're fully inside VR. What if you found solutions with standstills and then introduced many annoying limitations and post-processing? I did a stream last week where I showed that. I covered how you can set all that up so you can have the pass-through on the door, and then if you walk through the door, you would be in the virtual world. And it was super easy just using the default stuff through Epic. I'm going to make tutorials on it soon, but yeah, if you don't want to wait, it's on there. So it'll be in the last week's live stream, or the last live stream, if you have a look through the channel. Cool. So UUID saved. So now, when I do this, I create it. Begin player, create spatial anchor, get UUID. We want to set get a copy or add unique. There we go. Make map. So I should be able to do the key and then the actor itself. Save all. Compile. What I need to do is copy over. Showcase blueprints. Trying to find the permissions. And then, yeah, that can be plugged into there. Cool. Might be the wrong order to do things in, but should be fine. I've seen that one. I haven't fully found a solution to expand what you had to allow for the case that I mentioned. They could actually use the don't support change to full pass-through outside the room, or I'm just too stupid to fully extend it. You would change it in here. So you would change it in the pass-through layer. So if you want it to be full pass-through, so you leave the room and you can't see anything else, you would just change it there. But without knowing what you're trying to achieve, it's quite difficult to give an idea. Right, I've got no idea what's going to happen, but we're going to try this. So the idea is that when we press play, we should be able to spawn 2 cubes. I press the A button, and then B is mapped to the menu. I'm going to have to change it. Close it. What I could do for now is I can just plug this into here. And then when we load up, we're not spawning them, are we? Right, that makes sense. Get spawn actor from class. It's going to be you. And then what we could do is can you get the transforms? Or have I got to save that separately? Oculus get shared anchors from group async. The cutout you used there don't support changeable pass-through outside the room. Ah, right, that's that one. There's got to be transform information stored in a anchor, isn't there? So how do we attach something to an anchor? It can create it, but how do we attach to it? Hmm. Oh, is it the It's gonna be the spatial anchor thing that I added. Spatial anchor components. And then use that, I think. Oculus X spatial anchor. Add context info. Hmm. But I need to save the unique ID and then possibly load it in locally. I could do that and then get the component, but it's not going to save the ID. Hmm. Um. Then yes, you don't have issues to explain what issues I'm facing. I'm just used to defend solution. Your material still helped me a lot on Patreon, so thanks for doing this. No worries, it's a pleasure. I just wish I could get more done faster. To be fair, that's the hard part, is getting enough stuff out. I remember a while back asking you about spatial actor spawner. How to say I figured out how to do it, partially thanks to some of your tutorials. Nice one. And now it's my turn to try and figure it out. See, spawning stuff on desks and walls and drawers and doors and everything else like that is like super simple. But figuring out the way to do the spawning of these things is a little bit more of a pain. Because like saving the anchor ID is fine, but how do we save a location to then spawn an actor onto it? Which is the hard part. Give me just a second, guys. I gotta go check something, but I'll be right back. Pardon? Yeah, yeah. Cool. Oh wait. All right, guys. We've got about 20 minutes. 20 minutes left to try and get this sorted. So our character spawns those in. What's going to be handy to do is if we do a print string to at least see if we're getting the right stuff. So actor type, print string, UUID. At least if we know that we're getting this, then it'll be fine. Save game. We only get it once. Chris, the way I did it was just by assigning the actor under the spatial anchor scene component, then having the scene populate when the level starts. Right, so how was that then? This one. Because we create a location when we press the trigger, which gets added in. Or at least it should do. I'm not entirely sure what you mean, Chris. Oh, you're doing it a different way, right? Okay, I get what you mean. So what I'm trying to do here is you have spatial anchors which are spawned in when we click the trigger, and then it creates a cube actor as well, which is basically assigned to, we want to assign to that spatial anchor, which is what we're doing here. So we create a spatial anchor and we go from there. But I think I'm missing something to basically tell it that this is the spatial anchor we've got, and then we want to assign it to say that once this is spawned back in, we can then use it. So basically I want to assign the actor to the unique ID. But there isn't like a load. Basically saying when this actor spawns, create a spatial anchor and assign it to an actor. So you're trying to set up spatial anchors that you set yourself in the game rather than, yes. Yeah, exactly that. So we've got them going through to a save system, which is fine. But the problem is for the loading, we have no way of telling it where the spatial anchor was. So I've got a feeling I'm missing something. But we haven't got long left. Because this one does it. It's got a spatial anchor component, which is what we've got, which we can get the UUID. Oh, I can. Could I update it? No. I don't know how this component works. Oh, what the hell? The context info, that's set fine. But this example doesn't load them back in. That's the problem. It's got the load UUID from file, but we're not doing anything to do with the actors. Like it doesn't spawn them back in. No. So we can load them and then create them back. So you kind of do that and then create spatial anchor. We're telling the spatial anchor which one we are. So do we need the UUID or can I just store the anchor? Hmm. Spatial anchor knows what the target actor is. So do I have to save it separately? Anchor handle. Hmm. Get handle. Would it work if I just change it to handle? Because the handle seems to store everything. No, it doesn't. Um, I wonder if I should just literally just save the anchor itself. Because this is causing a little bit of confusion. Create anchor, that's fine. Add the new anchor to the array, currently loaded. Save. Oculus Spatial Anchor, that's going to be the component. But it's still saved in the UUID. Confusing. All right, how long we got? I've got about 10 minutes left. Does anybody have any questions? And we can kind of cover some of those before I gotta go. MetaXR, I'll go to sleep now. I'm very tired. I do not blame you. Do not blame you at all. What I'll do is I'll probably do another stream or something. We'll take another look at this, and I'll do a deep dive as well. So over the next week or so, I'll try and have a look into it and see what I can figure out. Kind of go from there. Load game. What node is that? Attempt to spawn. I'm not even sure what that is, to be fair. Load game. Retrieve anchors after an app restart. Right. Still no information on loading them back in. UUID. Spawn Oculus Anchor Actor. Right. Let's try this real quick. Is that it? saved anchors. Get for each loop. We're going to loop through each one. And then keys, values, and then get a copy of that one. Plug that in there and then in there. After. Oh, there's got to be a way to get the actor. Like, I could just select it, but that'd be the point of having actors attached to specific ones, doesn't it? Let's try it. And then we'll keep playing around. Oh, anchor display, right. Right. The spatial anchor should. Does it not already know what the thing's going to be? Save. No, it just creates a cube down there. Hmm. So we do it with spawn that doesn't have a transform. I want to end this on like a highlight. We get it working. Save. Leave. Press play. Some jump went on and the press load button. And it's still down there. Hmm. Play. Load. No, it's oh. Hmm. I'm not entirely sure what's going on, but what we do is I think we'll leave it there. I think we've made enough progress that it's been pretty eventful anyway. What I'll do is probably won't upload this file until we can get it working, but we'll do another stream next week, and then we'll carry on and we'll see if we can get something set up. Because I think it'd be pretty cool to make like a literal mini golf game around the apartment, which would be pretty cool. And a lot of fun as well, once we can get access to spawn in and load back to where they should be. But in the meantime, I'll have a look and I'll do some Googling and I'll do some research to see what I can get sorted and figure out for this. But yeah, if anybody's got any questions, feel free to head over to the Discord. It's a bit easier to get to me there. And then if you're interested, we've got files up on the Patreon as well, which you can download and grab, which will be super cool. I'm hoping the next stream should be about Monday, but we'll see how it goes. Monday or Tuesday, and then we'll take a look. But yeah. All right, everyone. I will see you all later, and I hope you all enjoy the weekend.